Good morning. Welcome to council meeting, City of Morden, 24th of June 2019. We'll get underway this morning with an agenda that is available for you, I believe, when you came in. There are a few items on the agenda and a few in-camera items as well. We'll also be having a public hearing as agenda item number 4 with regard to a variation order for property on Evergreen Drive. Item number 1 this morning is the invocation, and as by way of invocation, I would simply remind us of our obligation as a council to act inclusively and for the best interest of all in a spirit of equality. This past weekend we had 2 different events, one being Indigenous Day and the other being the Pride event, and I want to recognize the fact that all people of any race, any identity, any sexual orientation, we have an obligation and a right to act in their best interest in the defense of human rights. Agenda item number 2, confirmation of the minutes, moved by Councillor Gordon Maddock, seconded by Councillor Jim Hunt. Be resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Morden held on the 27th day of May 2019 be adopted as circulated, and all statutory requirements have been fulfilled. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none. The motion carries. Agenda item number 3, which is an addition to the agenda, moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seconded by Councillor Nancy Penner. Be resolved that the Council of the City of Morden agreed to add the following items to the agenda: recognition of the Sager family on induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame under agenda item number 5. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none. The motion carries. We will add a recognition by Councillor Maddock as agenda item number 5. Takes us to agenda item number 4, which is conditional variance on Evergreen Drive, and Deputy City Manager Patrick Dueck will explain the process.
So the process is as follows. Any presentations are limited to a maximum of 10 minutes. Hearings will be done in order as they appear on the agenda. If anyone other than the applicant wants to make a presentation on any of the hearings, they must record their name and contact information with me prior to the hearing. What this means is if you don't give me your name in advance, you won't be permitted to speak during the hearing. If you aren't sure, you can register with me and then decline to speak when your name is called. All presentations must be directed through the chair, which is the mayor. Council will first hear from the applicant. Council will then hear representations beginning with those in favor, followed by those opposed or objecting. Applicant will have opportunity to respond, and if new information is provided, the others will again have an opportunity to present. Council may ask for clarification after each presentation, but will not enter into debate. Minutes will be kept. Written submissions may be presented, but must be available to those who are present who want a copy. When presentations are completed, Council will close hearings and further input from the public will not be permitted for legal reasons. Council has the option to adjourn a hearing and advise of the next date for the continuation of the hearing to obtain further information. When Council makes a decision, where required by legislation, all persons who made a presentation at the hearing will be notified. The following are the types of hearing we'll be hearing today is a conditional use variation order. A variation order. When Council makes its decision on the application, the decision is final and there is no appeal process. Is there anyone that wants to register to speak today?
All right, we have a resolution to open a public hearing, moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Nancy Penner. Be resolved that 19BL02 being a bylaw for rezoning, that is the wrong one. That is 8 point something.
That is 8.3, I think.
8.3, yeah. Sorry about that, I got the wrong. I'm missing that on the agenda.
4.1, I don't have it.
I don't have the
Resolution to open your,
yeah.
There should be one to close the regular meeting and go into the,
Yeah. I'm just missing that resolution. I'm gonna go see this in the folder.
Okay, Kelsey, where are you?
First thing, Kelsey's not here.
Yeah.
You're innocent, eh?
I don't know.
You seem to be missing the folder.
Not in the folder.
No, the whole folder's gone.
Oh,
Oh, you have the folder. Okay.
but nothing in the,
Okay.
Procedure is to close the council.
Yeah.
As a public hearing
officially.
We're just missing the,
document for it.
yeah,
Well,
that's not it there, is it?
No, this will be to the recommendation.
can,
Piece of paper.
We can handwrite.
council can write, keep that paper, right? Want to just take a note of it?
Yep.
And then come up with a document later.
Okay. All right, who wants to move? Who wants to second?
I'll move a second. I'll move it.
Okay, we have a mover to open a public hearing, seconded by Hank Hildebrand. Move seconded by Councillor Hebert. That we open a public hearing regarding variation order 01-2019 Evergreen Drive.
Okay, we need to close the council, right?
Yeah.
So who does that? What's that?
It's all
That's all
same
one.
resolution.
All the same one?
Resolution, yeah. The resolution also closes regular council meeting for the purpose of the public hearing. In favor, please indicate. Opposed? We are in a public hearing.
For variation order number 01-2019, public notices were sent out in the mail June 7th, 2019 to all properties within a 100-meter radius to notify adjacent properties of the application.
All right, do you wish to make a presentation regarding the application?
Sure.
Yeah, up here for the mic. We recognize David Hildebrand for 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't need 10 minutes. This variation request is due to, unless you don't have a copy of the map.
Yeah, we do. Page
Oh,
4.
you do? Okay.
Yeah, page 4, online at least. Keep going, right there. That's the one you're looking for?
You can back up one more.
Sure.
It's okay if I go to
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's not very clear here, but in a corner like this, which is similar to a cul-de-sac, we'd already set this home back some, and that home back a little more, and this one to make a nice flow through the corner. And we also pushed this home back. This is the one the variation is in place for, so it would flow nice through the corner. But it pushed the home back, that we actually need about 2.8 feet in the backyard as a variation. Not the full 5, but just so the corner flows nicely. And it is, if it were to be a future road in behind there, my understanding is that it's quite large right-of-ways. So we're not crowding anybody's space anywhere. In the past, we have done entire streets where we've done like a blanket variation right across the back, and that is my intention on this one once we get rolling in the future. Discuss with Patrick and whoever else need be to get this going, but right now for this home, which is under construction for a customer.
Okay.
That's our request.
Dave, you mentioned 2 feet. You mean 20 feet? You
The
said,
required is 25.
yeah.
I can go 2.5 feet without any,
Oh, I see,
with a
okay.
minor variation, and I'm actually need about a foot more than that, so I was suggested I just go for a full 5.
Okay. So
So
this one shows us at 20 feet 5 7/8 inches, right? Martin?
That's correct. That's the plans that we received.
No.
That is it for your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. There are no opponents registered, so we will go straight to questions of council and give the applicant a chance to respond to them. My question would be, for the record, with our city planner, Mr. Sandhurst. You registered an opinion on this, correct?
Yes, I did.
That it be approved?
Yeah, the recommendation is that the request was for a portion of the building it's proposed to be constructed. It's a bit of a quirk of the bylaw. Because it's a veranda, it's a covered addition to the back of the house. By virtue of that, it's tied into the roof system. It's considered to be part of the principal building. On that basis, you need to meet the minimum 25-foot requirement under the RT district regulations. Due to its location, due to its proximity to neighboring properties, there's no material impact on any adjacent neighbor. There's no adverse effect. Therefore, the recommendation is that council approve.
Thank you. Other questions? No? We need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Frost moves that we close the hearing, go back to public meeting.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Hebert. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none. The motion carries. We are back in public hearing.
I'll move the recommendation to accept the... Also.
With regard to variation order, moved by Councillor Gary Hebert, seconded by Councillor Doug Frost. Be resolved, the council approve variation order 01-2019 Evergreen Drive variance as recommended. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none. The motion carries.
You can make that out.
All right, the addition to the agenda, we approved.
Sorry, I need to state that.
Thank you. Yes.
The addition to the agenda, we approved, taking it to agenda item number 5, which is the recognition of the Sager family on their induction into the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame. Councillor Maddock, we recognize you to provide that recognition.
On behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Morden, I had the pleasure of going to the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame, in which the Sager family was inducted. Howie, Audney, Stephen, Wayne, and Jennifer have all been involved in softball, hockey, baseball, and been instrumental in playing the game, teaching the game, promoting the game, whether it be tournaments or what have you. It was a huge honor for the Sager family, and I think we're proud to have them as citizens of our community.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8.1, moved by Councillor Gary Hebert, seconded by Councillor Hank Hildebrand. Be resolved that council adopt the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting dated June 10th, 2019. Does anybody wish to make comment on this? If not, we will move to a vote. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none. The motion carries. Agenda number 8.2, moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Gary Hebert. Be resolved that the council has recommended for payment be confirmed. Does anyone wish to make presentation?
Yeah, I'll speak to that.
Sure.
It's done in the past. Council receives a copy of the journal entries or registry of the checks that the city has issued for a certain period of time during the month, and accompanying the checks are for the 3 signing officers who co-signed the checks, meaning Mayor Brandon Burley and Councillor or Deputy Mayor Nancy Penner and and Hank Hildebrand as chair of the corporate. We have signing authority and countersign the checks that administration has signed, and accompanying that is invoices for to each one of those checks, and we verify the invoices to assure that they match the checks, and then which in this case again there is no irregularities, but to note the council has the opportunity to ask questions of administration at any time with regards to the invoices that are accompanying those checks, and that is complied to if and when that ever happens. So just thought, and everything was in order when we signed the checks this last period.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? No, we will move to a vote. Moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Gary Hebert, be resolved that the accounts as recommended for payment be confirmed. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none. The motion carries. Agenda number 8.3, moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Nancy Penner. Be resolved that 19 BL02 being a bylaw for rezoning 212 6th Street now be read a first time. Just looking for the
I have one question.
Sure.
With just clarification from Mr. Sanders. The bylaw says that from RT residential 2-family to RMS residential multiple family medium. Is that medium or small?
It's medium. There's an error in the bylaw as drafted, as submitted to council. That was my error.
No, it's okay.
We have not sent out the notices yet. These will go out following first reading for the public hearing. We'll make sure that we have the correct zone that's been requested by the applicant. Now that said, if I may, the recommendation from planning and engineering is not to approve the RMM, that is the residential multiple family medium, but instead to approve residential multiple family small. This was shared with the applicant verbally and in face-to-face meeting before the application, as it was with 2 other potential developers who inquired about this property. So I just want to make clear that when you guys see the report, when you have a look at it, when you're getting together and considering the application for the public hearing, that's our recommendation.
so that affects units from 8 down to 6. Is it correct?
Yeah, it affects the density. When we put together, Mayor Burley, the new zoning bylaw back in 2017, we introduced 2 new multifamily district categories, one of which is expressly for circumstances like this. This property, it's not right at the intersection at Thornhill. We expect that there's going to be the heaviest density, therefore the opportunity for developers to develop properties along Thornhill with the category that's now known as residential multiple family large. This property is just to the north of that. Its current context is single family, single family, single family, single family. This is a key lot. It's a transitional lot in the jargon of planners. So we know it's going to be affected by the additional density in the future when the property owner comes forward of the 2 properties on Thornhill. But we also have to consider that it's a very low density right now. So we want to inject density where we can, but we have to do it carefully. And the concern the department has about this site at the proposed 9 dwelling units is that the effect is in introducing the parking, the circulation, the other site amenities, that starts really affecting the immediately adjacent neighbors. By approving the lower density category up to 7 dwelling units, it significantly reduces the impacts on those adjacent properties, while at the same time providing a decent return on investment for the developer. Currently, the yield on that site, it's 2 properties that are each 50 foot in width. The current zoning regulations on it is RT, is you can build 2 duplexes. So we go from 4 units potential to 7 units under the RMS category.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned the notice hadn't been sent out yet.
Yeah, we can't send it out, Mayor Burley, until after first reading,
Yeah.
but I can assure you guys that when we send it out, it'll have the correct designation. And that will be the RMM medium, because that's what the applicant is requesting.
Okay.
One question I have for you, what's the parking requirement? Is that fair to ask at this
Yeah.
venue?
Oh, I think so. Councillor Hildebrand, it's based on the number of bedrooms in
Yeah.
the dwelling unit. In this case, all the units are 2-bedroom. There's 9 units total, and in 2-bedroom, our bylaw requires a minimum of 1 parking space per dwelling unit. So they only need 9. It's not uncommon in a case like this, however, for marketing purposes, for the developer to provide additional parking spaces. In this case, it's providing 2 per dwelling unit. And so in doing that and fitting that number of spaces in the rear yard, access is tight, aisles between 2 rows of parking, the minimum dimensions require basically the entire rear yard to be paved, property line to property line to property line. So that's the effect of the 9 units in this configuration. If it had been a different form, say just standard flats or something, wouldn't have taken up as much ground space for the building itself. There might have been more room, more opportunity for providing relief at the edges of the property to the adjacent property owners.
So then my further follow-up question is, if the whole backyard is paved corner to corner, so then we have a water issue or a snow clearing issue in the winter, there's no storage for either one of those, like
Yeah.
the water would have to run onto the neighboring properties and
Yeah, we would, as you know, we can't approve anything that has an adverse effect on the neighbor's land drainage or
Yeah.
otherwise. A concern here would be because there's no location designated for storage of snow, although that could be accommodated in vacant parking spaces, those not leased to tenants, we have no control over that. Because of that, they would have to haul the snow away. And my experiences with that professionally, not necessarily in this city, is that that's rarely done. I mean, it's not a dependable service, and it's something that we can't really weigh in on through terms of the development agreement. It'd be almost impossible for us to enforce that. I have a sketch that shows the same configuration, that is 2 units, or 2 buildings, pardon me, of, the 3 floors of units, that shows the impact of it. If it's 6 units versus 9 units, if you guys would like to see that at this time, or consider between now and the public hearing.
probably.
Yeah. You guys have copies of the site plan? I've got larger versions. So it's a lovely building, there's no doubt about that, but if you check the second page, it shows a site plan, and it shows, this is the proposed, it shows the rear yard area.
So technically, these are all questions that should be asked here.
Spaces per suite.
We're doing the first reading, right?
So 9,
So what I sketched for you guys was the additional relief the developer would be able to provide in that rear yard area and side yard, shown in green, if they just have 2 3-unit buildings as opposed to 3 3-unit. I'll submit through the hatch.
Okay, so the first reading would change the zoning from RT, the application is to RMM. It provides a 50-foot front yard instead of a 25-foot front yard, provides a 4-foot side yard instead of a 10-foot side yard, establishes a 16-foot wide 2-way driveway instead of a 20-foot wide driveway, and provides 0 feet of separation from waste material storage to side and rear yard instead of a 5-foot separation.
But that's the variation.
That's the variation,
variation,
and
yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
scheduled for July 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we scheduled it, we'll send out the notices so the variance that's associated with the zoning amendment will occur at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, just so that you clarify, the one that you presented to us, the 16 parking spaces, so that's based on 9 units?
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's, so what, a 1 point, whatever percentage?
Yeah, it's almost 2.
Almost 2.
It's more than is required, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
but it's not unusual for a developer to provide additional parking spaces. We leave it up to them. We don't have a maximum number in our zoning regulations. That's highly unusual in Manitoba. With respect to the variance application, the number of them, the extent of them, sort of demonstrates that in order to build this many units in this form at this location, it has those effects on the neighboring properties. If 6 units are developed instead of the 9, so essentially the same form, just 2, 3 unit buildings, the only variance that would be desirable would be the front yard. And an 18-foot setback instead of the 15 requested, that matches up with the shallowest setback along this particular block of 6th Street.
Okay. All right. So questions and comments, we'll hold till the second reading of the variance. Moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Nancy Penner. Be resolved that 19BL02 being a bylaw for rezoning 212 6th Street now be read a first time. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8.4, moved by Councillor Hank Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Gary Hebert. Be resolved that Council approves a $1,000 gold level sponsorship for the Canadian Student Debate Organization. Any questions or comments?
Now, that was discussed at Committee of the Whole, and we all agreed that we would contribute $1,000 toward that grant request.
All right, in favor, please indicate. Opposed, none, the motion carries. Agenda item number 8.5, moved by Councillor Doug Frost, seconded by Councillor Gordon Maddock. Be resolved that Council approve $500 for sponsorship to a kids sport organization. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none, the motion carries. Moved by Councillor Jim Hunt, agenda item number 11. Moved by Councillor Jim Hunt, seconded by Councillor Gordon Maddock. Be resolved that Council moves in camera. In favor, please indicate. Opposed, none, the motion carries.